Hi folks, this is all the fruit. Today I will be harvesting the coconuts. My host asked me to get the coconuts because, basically they are on the tree right 10 meters away from the house, but nobody is eating them. So she decided if they are right in front of the house, maybe they will be eaten. So I got the wheelbarrow and the parang and came here to the coconut tree. I'm on the island of Borneo, to be precise in the state of Sarawak, in the hills of the Baram River, or Ulubaram, behind the city of Miri, not far from the Sultanate of Brunei. However, if you listen to the village noises here, from time to time you will hear pigs, so it is a Christian village. No pigs and almost no dogs in Muslim villages. Well, I'm in Javinda Homestay, a beautiful place. I'm here already for the third time. Beautiful place in the beautiful village of Longsan. About 100 kilometers away, or over 100 kilometers away from the next real paved road. 100 kilometers of dirt road through the jungle to come to this beautiful village. But it's really worth the trouble. Yeah, if you ever come to the island of Borneo, come to the city of Miri, and from there go to the little village of Longsan and come to Javinda Homestay. It's really worth it. Well, now enough advertisement for my wonderful homestay. What about the coconuts? You know, for decades or maybe centuries in Europe, you would only get some dry, dehusked coconuts. But in recent years, there are several different types of coconuts that showed up in larger quantities in cooler countries. And what is the difference between those coconuts? Of course, all the coconuts are one species. All the coconuts traded and sold worldwide are one species, Cocos nucifera, which has been spread worldwide by humans, worldwide into all tropical and even some subtropical areas, and is being traded worldwide. There are, of course, a lot of different varieties. The different varieties, what are they good for? Of course, different taste, different size, different color, different resistance to pests and diseases. But more important than the variety is actually the age of the coconut. So here I have some coconut tree. To be honest, we don't know what variety it is. Probably just some seedling tree, like this one here. I hope you can see it, because I will soon kill this tree. Well, and this tree hasn't been harvested for a long time, so there are lots of coconuts of different age. And the age makes an enormous difference for what you do with the coconuts. The really young ones you use for drinking. The older ones, like those, you can use for drinking and eating. This here, maybe you can still use it for drinking. Well, this one you can basically only use for eating. And the sprouted coconut, like this one here, you can also use, and I'll show you how. This video might get quite long because I have to harvest the coconuts, then I have to open them and taste them and have to talk at the same time. So maybe if it gets too long, it will become two videos. But since I think the most important thing about the coconut is its age, I really wanted to make this video to explain to you how to eat or not to eat, and how to drink or not to drink coconuts of different age. Because in places like the Canary Islands, where coconuts, most tourists are not so familiar with coconuts, and where there are a lot of coconut trees, and where we could have a lot of nice drinkable and edible coconuts, the tourists basically pick them out of curiosity when they are really teeny tiny. Okay, I don't know if you can see them up there. Coconuts the size of walnuts, which are worthless. So now I will try to prop up the phone here so that you can see the coconut tree and me Is this working? So now you can see the coconut tree. I guess you will be able, no, you will not be able to see me properly when I'm chopping the coconuts. That happens when you have no equipment for your camera and have to use the backpack to prop it up. Okay, now let's see. Now first I will harvest some coconut. I will harvest 1 or 2 coconuts which are too small to be of any use for you, just to show you that it's not worth harvesting those little coconuts. So folks, look at the size of this one. Most coconuts in tourist areas don't even make it to this size if they are on the tree this low, because some tourists will come and pick them. But this is good for nothing. This is still too small. It's true that you drink young coconuts, but not that young. See? It already has a little bit of water. But the water is kind of sour and astringent. This one, I'm amazed you could already drink it. And in a survival situation, I would harvest coconuts of this size, because there is a tiny amount of water inside. But in a farm situation, this would be a big waste of coconuts. I will not. Well, I could harvest one of the, let's harvest one of the really tiny ones. This is the size most coconuts on the Canary Islands get ripped from the trees. Well, in this variety, there is even already some water there. It's salty and astringent and not really good for anything. And in many varieties, coconuts of this size, and maybe even of this size, would still have no water at all. So this one was sour and astringent. This one was salty and astringent. A teeny tiny amount of water, which is not particularly tasty. No need to harvest coconuts of that age. Well, let's get to the next age. I think this is already a size which is proper for harvesting. And if somebody climbs a coconut tree 6 or 8 or 12 meters high, they will most certainly harvest those. For now I picked only one, because I want to see if the taste is already good. Those are still very young. You can only use them for drinking coconuts. As you can see, no trace of flesh here. Between the hard shell is this inner ring, and the water, there is no ring of flesh. Same thing here. I think here we also will have no flesh, but maybe we'll have a copious amount of juice, especially in this. This seems to be a good drinking coconut variety. So, sorry, I'm itching from all the mosquito and wasp bites and everything I got in the jungle. So this could already be very good, or could still need a couple weeks. So I picked only one for now to try it. And I'm careful because I don't want to lose the water. So, okay, here we are. Cheers. Much better taste, not very sweet. I still don't know if the variety is just one which is not very sweet, which is more water-like, or if this is still underripe. But it's definitely already good for drinking. So I will try the slightly older ones and see if it becomes more sweet. If it becomes more sweet, maybe this should stay on the tree a couple more weeks. If the taste remains like this, a pleasant mild sourness, then I think, how do I get my face and the coconut in the sun? Maybe like this. Well, if the taste remains the same, I will harvest this whole bunch. If the taste improves even more, I might leave them for a couple more weeks. Tastes like slightly sour water, no trace of sweetness. Now let's look for the flesh. No flesh at all again. An outer fibrous ring and an inner ring, which is basically the coconut shell. The coconut is not a nut, but the seed, as you can see, because it's in the center of a much bigger fruit. And still, no flesh, no trace of edible flesh in this one. Okay. Now, what is the next age group? I'm not so sure. Let's get this bunch here. I'm not so sure. This is the next bigger bunch, but there is another bunch which looks even younger but is bigger. Maybe because there are only 2 coconuts in the other bunch. Now let's try those here. The perfect age for a drinking coconut, and the size of the normal small varieties of drinking coconuts. I think this will be perfect for drinking, but I think there will be no flesh or almost no flesh in this one. And I think the shell will still be soft. So, I'm really careful with cutting them open because I don't want to lose most of the water. Yeah, there is maybe a tiny trace of sweetness, but no big change of taste, so I might harvest the young ones. A really nice mild coconut. The sourness is almost gone here. There is a tiny trace of sweetness, but basically it's a pleasant, mild, sour water. How shall I describe it? A water with some very mild sour juice inside. However, the coconut water has a lot of other ingredients except acid and sugar. It's actually very close to blood plasma. And actually, in wartime situations, I think the last time in World War II, it was used for blood transfusions. This stuff inside, the water inside, is sterile and so close to the chemical content of our blood that they basically stuck a syringe in a young coconut, then stuck it in the vein of a wounded soldier and gave him coconut water transfusions. Not drinking, but directly from the nut into the vein. A lot of those soldiers didn't survive, but at least the stuff was so successful that it was practiced for quite some time. Really nice coconut. Not one of the really sweet ones, one of the more mild ones. Let's see if the slightly older ones get more sweet. You see, now I'm harvesting the whole bunches because I'm sure that at that age we have perfect drinking coconuts. So those here look very sweet, but already bigger than the other ones. So I don't know. I think those still look so plump and round. It could be that they're a little bit older. It could be that the reason is they were just 2 on the bunch. Okay, so let's try this one. even bigger than the other ones. Maybe an even more perfect age for drinking. Oh, wait. Let me just chop the last one in half and see. Well, this was already a perfect drinking coconut. Let's see if there is anything to eat. Still, no trace of flesh. No trace of flesh at all. Not even a little slime. Well, yeah, there are tiny traces of slime which indicate that the flesh or the slime which becomes the flesh will soon start to form, but almost nothing. So let's try this. Still a perfect age for a drinking coconut, and even bigger than the last one. This is not one of the really big varieties. They are giant coconuts, 4 times the size of those, but this is like the typical size of drinking coconuts you'll get in the tropics. So, okay. There is some sweetness and some fruity taste in this one. Really nice, folks. So the taste does improve. Good that I didn't cut the smallest bunch, because I think the taste will improve. So this is older than this. It's not only bigger but older. And the taste has changed. The sourness is even more mild. The sweetness, which was just a trace in this one, has become a little bit more than a trace. There is still more sourness than sweetness, but a very nice balance. And also there is some nice fruity flavor. How shall I drink this one? How shall I describe it? Yeah, the fruity flavor of a really good fresh coconut. Don't know how to describe it. Tastes definitely better than the last couple ones. The last 2 ones were already good enough, but this is even better. As you can see, or as you can maybe hear, the hard shell of those ones is still not hard. It offers no more resistance than the fibrous rind. Or if we want to talk like a botanist, this is the exocarp, the fibrous exocarp, the hard, the still not hard mesocarp. And let's see if there is already a trace of the sweet endocarp. Actually, no, the shell starts hardening here. It already does offer some resistance. And here you can see there are already about 3 millimeters of still very soft and slimy coconut flesh. So we got coconut flesh, folks. Nice and tasty. Should have taken a spoon, because a parang is not the perfect tool for extracting flesh from a young coconut. Yeah, this has, taste-wise, this has almost nothing to do with ripe coconut flesh. Also, feeling-wise, this is basically like eating some tasty slime, some tasty pudding, slightly sweet. Slightly sweet, delicious pudding with some coconut flavor. Oh yeah, really good. I should have brought a spoon. Now I'm making a big mess of myself. So this is basically the age they would sell most drinking coconuts. They would already harvest the smaller ones, especially if the palm tree is taller, because if you take the trouble to climb a palm tree, you harvest everything that's useful in any way. So what is the next age group? I think this one, there is only one in this bunch. Maybe that was a bad year, like those bunches had a lot. The next younger bunch had 2 fruit. This has only 1. So here the fibers are already much more prominent. The skin is hard, and the inside already shows some flesh. Sweet, sour, mild sweetness, mild sourness at the mouth, bizzling a little bit like soda. Now let's open it. Here you can see the flesh inside. It's still soft, but already a bit closer in consistency and taste to what most of us are used to. Really tasty soft coconut fish. So folks, this video is long enough. I'll start a new video. Stay tuned for a video about the more ripe bunches of this coconut.